The story begins in a desert where three smugglers arrive to search for rare items buried under rocks. After searching for a while, one of them discovers a hole in the ground. He immediately calls his friends, and together they fill the hole with gas. Moments later, when one of them peers inside, a spider suddenly bites him. The man cries out in pain, and soon, several spiders crawl out of the hole. The smugglers quickly start capturing them in plastic containers. Meanwhile, the condition of the man who was bitten worsens rapidly. Feeling pity, the others decide to end his suffering by killing him. Sometime later, we see that these spiders are being illegally sold as rare and valuable pets across the world. The scene shifts to France, where a man named Caleb is seen buying jewelry using money earned from selling stolen goods. A clerk takes him to his office, where Caleb notices a spider inside a plastic box. Fascinated by it, he decides to purchase it. Later, he meets his friend Mathis, who enjoys stealing bicycles, while Caleb deals in shoes, with Mathis helping him find customers. When Caleb arrives home, he finds his sister Manon busy repairing the house. Entering his room, he panics upon seeing the lights off and quickly turns them back on. It is revealed that he owns several rare pets that survive only with the warmth of the light. He places the newly bought spider inside a shoebox. He then scolds Manon again for turning off the lights, as it could kill his pets. Manon, in turn, yells at him for the high electricity bill caused by his pets. Meanwhile, the spider manages to escape from the shoebox by making a hole. Hours later, when Caleb returns home and turns on the lights, he realizes that the spider is missing. He frantically searches for it, but instead finds an egg, which he hides inside a box before going to sleep on the sofa. The next morning, Manon wakes Caleb up, and he notices that a friend is helping them repair the bathroom. Caleb, without taking a shower, heads out with new sneakers to meet Tom. However, a man named Gillet spots them and suspects that Caleb is smuggling drugs hidden in the sneakers. He warns Caleb that he has been watching him. Later, Tom sneaks into the supply room to try on the new sneakers. Suddenly, he feels a bite on his foot. Panicked, he pulls his foot out and looks inside the sneaker, only to see a spider crawl onto his arm. He throws it on the ground and crushes it with his shoe. However, when he looks inside again, hundreds of tiny spiders suddenly crawl out, covering his entire body, making him panic. Meanwhile, his dog picks up the largest spider from the ground and eats it. On the other hand, when Caleb returns to his room, he finds his friend staring at his pets, unaware that he buys illegal animals. Suddenly, Tom repeatedly calls Caleb, but he ignores the calls. After everyone leaves, Caleb locks the door and seals the gap with a towel. He then tries calling Tom back, but Tom doesn't answer. Tom is in excruciating pain, with strange wounds on his skin and yellow fluid oozing from his eyes. As he struggles to stand up and pick up his phone, he slips and falls, causing all the glass containers around him to shatter and pierce his body. Blood was flowing from Tom's wounds. After some time, we see that his dog had been barking continuously, disturbing the neighbors. They tried calling Tom and knocking on his door, but there was no response. Finally, Gilles broke down the door, and what they saw inside shocked everyone. The police were called immediately, but even they couldn't determine how Tom had died. When the neighbors saw the officers wearing masks, their fear grew. A heated discussion broke out about Tom's cause of death. Some believed he was a drug addict and had overdosed. However, the police managed to calm everyone down and sent them back to their homes. To ensure safety, they prohibited anyone from leaving the building and announced that if anyone fell ill, a doctor would come to them. The residents watched as Tom's body was taken away before returning to their apartments. Meanwhile, Caleb and his friends decided to take care of Tom's dog and started wondering what had actually happened. Manon asked Caleb if he had hidden drugs inside the sneakers, which made Caleb extremely angry. Elsewhere, we see Joe, who had gone to store supplies in the supply room. She noticed that the ceiling was now covered in spider webs. Quickly, she covered her mouth with a cloth and began spraying repellent all over the room. Unaware that several spiders had already escaped through the webs. Moments later, these spiders appeared in Caleb's bathroom, where Jordy's girlfriend, Lila, was washing her hands. She suddenly noticed a vent cover lying on the floor. Climbing onto a stool, she tried to put it back in place, but unfortunately, she lost her balance and fell into the shower. As she struggled to stand up, she saw a towel moving. Curious, she shook the towel, but nothing was there. Suddenly, a spider jumped out at her, and she screamed in fear, hiding inside the shower. Hearing her cries, Jordy rushed to help but didn't want to kill the spider. Instead, he attempted to trap it with a glass. However, the spider quickly jumped and hid under the sink. Soon, the rest of their friends arrived, each offering different advice, frustrating Jordy. In desperation, he grabbed a mop and forcefully pushed it under the sink, trying to kill the spider. But the spider climbed up the mop and leaped onto the shower. Terrified, Jordy threw a towel over it, knocking it to the floor. He then repeatedly tried to crush it with his shoe. When he finally lifted the towel, everyone was horrified to see countless tiny spiders scurrying away. Suddenly, larger spiders started emerging from the shower vent, sending Lila into shock. Jordy quickly pulled Lila out of the bathroom, and they sealed the door with tape. They then demanded the truth from Caleb. At last, Caleb admitted that he had purchased an illegal spider. However, he insisted that the spider he had bought was much smaller than the ones they were seeing now. Mathis pointed out that the spider's offspring might be growing rapidly in this environment. Caleb picked up the box containing the spider egg, and when Jordy opened it, they were horrified to see it filled with spiders. Mathis quickly sealed the box with tape. Meanwhile, Joe continued cleaning the building when she found a dead spider. At the same time, the police returned and announced that all residents were now under quarantine. They then sealed off the building's exit. As Joe walked further down the corridor, she discovered even larger spider webs. She discovered birds trapped in the webs. Climbing a ladder to the rooftop, she opened a panel cover. As she peeked inside, she found massive spider nests. Covering her face, Joe sprayed repellent once more. Using a flashlight, she looked again, but suddenly a spider jumped onto her face, making her panic and fall off the ladder. Meanwhile, at Caleb's home, Lila, Manon, and Jordy decided to ignore the police orders and escape the building. However, Mathis chose to stay because the police were already searching for him on theft charges. Caleb also initially wanted to stay, feeling responsible for his neighbors and wanting to help during the crisis. but after repeated persuasion from his friends, he finally agreed to leave. Before leaving, he informed the other residents that they, too, could leave if they wanted. Elsewhere, in another apartment, a man was exercising while listening to music. When he glanced at the mirror, he saw a spider behind him. However, when he turned around, it was gone. He searched his room for a while and eventually spotted the spider on a wall. He struck it hard, but in the process, he accidentally made a hole in the wall. Peering inside, he saw thick webs, and suddenly an army of spiders swarmed out and attacked him. He screamed for help, but his father, who was asleep in another room, couldn't hear him. Meanwhile, Mathis and Caleb went door to door, urging their neighbors to escape. However, everyone was too terrified to leave their homes. They even knocked on the door of the exercising man, but the loud music drowned out his screams. Caleb, now anxious, went to check on Claudia. When she didn't answer, he heard the sound of a TV playing inside. He broke the door open and found her asleep on the couch. But as he got closer, hundreds of spiders crawled out of her corpse. Horrified, Caleb and Mathis ran out of the room. Just then, an elderly man appeared, pleading for help. Mathis stepped forward, but Caleb stopped him, noticing that the man had already been bitten by a spider. Realizing the danger, they told him to go back inside and quickly fled. Meanwhile, at home, Leela kept switching TV channels but found no news about their building. Yordi searched the internet and discovered that these spiders belonged to the Sicarius genus, a species that could expand its body up to 10 times its normal size when threatened. Manan checked social media but found no official government warnings. The only posts about their building were from frustrated residents complaining about the quarantine. Suddenly, they heard the sound of glass breaking in the kitchen. Yordi noticed a strange liquid oozing from behind the door. When he looked inside, he realized that Tom's dog had died, and a spider was crawling out of its stomach. Chaos quickly spread throughout the building. The father of the exercising man found his son's lifeless body. The elderly man who had tried capturing spiders in glasses soon met his demise as well. The truth was, people were being slaughtered by these spiders on every floor. As Mathis and Caleb returned home, they found their friends outside, ready to flee. They were focused on escaping safely. Mathis was confident that fire could keep the spiders away and that they could reach the rooftop to call for help. First, he lit a firecracker in the corridor, causing the spiders clinging to the ceiling to freeze in fear. Using the fireworks as a shield, they cautiously made their way forward. As soon as the fire from the sticks began to fade, Caleb pulled a petrol bomb from the bag and hurled it into the corridor. Flames erupted instantly, forcing the spiders to scatter. Without wasting time, they sprinted up the stairs, using their flashlights to keep the spiders at bay. Along the way, they heard cries for help from inside an apartment. However, they advised the residents to stay inside and kept moving. Their flashlight batteries were running low, so Manon attempted to unlock Jalel's apartment. Within moments, she succeeded, and they rushed inside, locking the door before the spiders could enter. After a while, guilt began to overwhelm Caleb. He felt responsible for the entire spider outbreak. Just then, a bright light appeared through the window, and within moments, police officers forcefully entered the apartment. Caleb urged them to help the remaining residents, but they ignored him. When he protested, one of the officers slapped him. In anger, Caleb fought back, prompting the officer to throw him to the ground and beat him brutally. Manon desperately tried to intervene, but she was shoved aside. Meanwhile, Mathis fought another officer, and soon an intense fight broke out between both groups. One officer sprayed Mathis with pepper spray and began choking him. Just in time, Caleb grabbed a fallen gun and shot the officer, saving Mathis. At the same time, the other officers cornered the two girls and attacked them with gas. Two more officers managed to restrain Caleb, and soon the police arrested the entire group and took them to the garage. In the garage, it became evident that the police had already been working to combat the spiders. A special team was collecting dead spiders for research. Their commanding officer remarked that Caleb and his group had nearly ruined their mission. He insisted that everything they had done was for the safety of the building's residents. But Caleb furiously argued that they had failed in their duty and shouted at them. At that moment, Mathis started coughing violently. It was revealed that he had been bitten by a spider and didn't have much time left. Determined to help his friends before he died, Mathis stood up and made his way to the generator, shutting it down. The entire building was plunged into darkness. Then he lunged at the officer guarding the main door, knocking him aside and opening the entrance. Within seconds, hundreds of spiders stormed in. The police opened fire, but the overwhelming number of spiders quickly overpowered them. Seizing the opportunity, Caleb and the two girls ran. Soon, he and Lila hid behind a car, but they realized they had left Manon behind. Acting quickly, Lila used her lighter to break Caleb's handcuffs. Just then, they saw another man being killed by the spiders. Caleb instructed Lila to hide in a car while he went to find his sister. Dodging the chaos, he finally reached Manon. However, in the process, he was shot in the leg. Thinking fast, Manon grabbed a fire extinguisher, shattered a van's window, and helped Caleb hide inside. Then, she treated Caleb's wound and apologized for her mistakes. Soon, several spiders crawled onto the window, but before they could get inside, Lila turned on the car's headlights, scaring them away. After that, both siblings quickly escaped from the vehicle. Dodging both the police and the spiders along the way, they finally reached Lila's car. Lila immediately started the engine, speeding off while crashing into several vehicles and police officers in the process. However, just as Caleb stepped out to open the exit gate, a massive spider blocked their path. For a moment, it seemed like Caleb's fate was sealed. No one moved, and Lila even turned off the car's headlights. As a result, the spider quietly retreated. Seizing the opportunity, Caleb quickly opened the exit, and they all managed to escape with their lives. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe to Film Reveal Decoder and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. If you have a favorite movie you'd like us to explain next, type "next" in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.